In the future, time travel technology has become highly advanced. To eliminate targets without leaving evidence, criminal organizations bind their victims and send them back 30 years to a designated location. A hitman is already waiting there. After killing the target, he takes the silver bar strapped to the victim's back and disposes of the body in an incinerator. He then returns to the organization and exchanges the silver for cash. That's how a cross-time criminal enterprise operates. Because time travel is strictly illegal, the organization makes sure no evidence is ever left behind. When loopers reach a certain age, their older selves are sent back 30 years to be killed by their younger selves. If the reward on the target changes from silver to gold, it means the person you're about to kill is your future self. This process is called closing the loop. Afterward, the assassin is released from the organization and given a massive payout. He spends the next 30 years living freely until the cycle repeats, and he is eventually killed by his younger self. Like a loop with no end, this cycle continues over and over. That's why these assassins are called loopers. Joe is the youngest looper in the organization. With his high income, he falls into the same habits as his colleagues: addiction and reckless partying. He saves up a large retirement fund and plans to move to France after closing his loop. For every looper, closing the loop is the ultimate goal. But one day, everything changes. Late one night, Joe's friend and fellow looper, Seth, sneaks into his apartment through the fire escape, panicked. Earlier that day, during a job, his target suddenly began humming a childhood song that Seth recognized immediately. When he removed the man's hood, he realized the truth. The old man was his future self. Seth didn't want to die. To buy time, his older self told him something shocking. In the future, a man known as the Rainmaker has taken control of all criminal organizations. He is ruthless and especially hates loopers. As soon as he rose to power, he began closing all loops. Seth is shaken by what he hears, or perhaps he simply can't bring himself to kill himself. In that moment of hesitation, his older self escapes. When a looper loses their target, it's called a loose loop. The punishment is severe. Now Seth has no choice but to ask Joe for help. But while they're talking, a heavily armed enforcer from the organization arrives at the door. Joe doesn't have time to think. He tells Seth to hide in the storage room where he keeps his silver bars. The enforcer searches the place but finds nothing. He quickly realizes Joe is interfering and takes him to meet the boss. The boss is a man from the future sent back 30 years to oversee and control the loopers, and he's clearly not someone to mess with. He already knows Joe has been secretly saving up a large retirement fund, so he gives Joe a choice: either hand over half of his silver or give up Seth. Joe has long planned his future. After closing his loop, he intends to retire in France with that money.
You should go to China.
I'm going to France.
I'm from the future. You should go to China.
I'm going to France.
You're going.
After thinking it over, Joe finally reveals Seth's hiding place.
The floor safe under the rug. 6742.
Meanwhile, the future version of Seth, who had escaped earlier, is desperately running through the outskirts. Suddenly, he notices a scar forming on his arm, shaping into an arrow. It tells him to reach 75 Weir Street within 15 minutes. It's obvious that his younger self has been captured. Any harm done to the younger Seth is now appearing on his future body. The future Seth doesn't think much of it at first. He still tries to climb over a barbed wire fence to escape, but suddenly, he realizes something is missing from his hand. That's when it hits him. There's no escaping this. He gets into a car and heads toward the location given by the organization, but the enforcers are faster. Soon, he loses his right foot, then his left, then an arm. Barely able to move, he crawls toward the destination, pounding weakly on the door. Waiting for him is the cold barrel of a gun. After that, Joe lives like a walking corpse. Aside from carrying out jobs, he spends his nights in clubs, drowning himself in pleasure. But one day, something unexpected happens. Joe goes out on a job as usual, but even after the scheduled time passes, nothing appears at the drop point. This has never happened before. Then suddenly, a man in a yellow prison uniform is sent through. Joe takes one look and immediately recognizes him. It's his future self.